Hello, this is Alice Hill coming to you from Boss the Movement, building on spiritual substance. Today we're going to talk about the principle of hope to a thing for approximately 15 minutes. Now the purpose of hope is for it to become manifested in this third dimensional earth realm as a material, physical thing. God will download into us a dream, a vision, or an idea. The question is, does God want that to stay an invisible dream, vision, or an idea? No. That idea is to go through a process and eventually manifest into its full glory, the full weight of a thing, where people physically see it and say, I see. I see that dream. I see that vision. I see that idea that was on the inside of you. But the question is, how do you take an invisible idea, an invisible dream, an invisible thought, and allow it to go through a specific, clear process so that in due season it will manifest as a material thing? And that's what we're going to teach on today. Hope to a physical thing. As we mentioned, the first process, through worship, through praise, through connecting with God, through remembering God's goodness, through focusing on what God has done for us in the past, God will transfer into us His will. Now, with hope to a thing, as we pray, as we worship, as we glorify God, the question I will ask to you now is, should we say, God, give me, I want, or should we submit to His will and say, God, your will be done into our lives? So instead of so much talk going upwards to God and asking God to listen to our needs, our desires, our wishes, we should spend more time listening to God. God, what do you want me to do? God, what is my will for my life? What am I called to this earth to do? And through dreams, visions, and ideas, God will begin to show us if we're listening, if we're seeking, if we're asking, if we're knocking. And through that process, God will plant a seed into us. And the time in which we go, oh, I got it, that's when we know that we have become pregnant with God's seed. Now, that seed is to stay in us until due season, until it manifests into a material thing. What is the first phase after we see, I've got a dream, I've got an idea? Well, the first phase for that dream or that seed is for it to become a belief. Belief. Now, let me give you the definition of belief. Belief is a habit of mind in which we have put trust or confidence in a person or a thing. Now, in this situation, we want to have a habit of mind in which we have put trust and confidence in Jesus Christ, who is the Word of the living God. And that Word is that hope, that idea, that dream, that vision that God has placed into us. We must allow that dream to become a habit in our mind. So when that habit manifests, it will now become our character. Who we are, what we do, what we think, what we say. The question is, how do we allow that hope to become a habit? The habit is developed through a process called touchstone. What is touchstone? Touchstone is remembering God's goodness. Now, let's set aside this word remembering in a different way. Let's look at remembering as a way of reconnecting, rejoining with God through worship and praise, rehooking up back to Him in a method of meditation, in a method of giving Him our focused attention, in a method of remembering the good things that God has done for us in our lives. And as we rejoin, reconnect, we remember, it will slowly and over a period build up our level of confidence. Remember, belief is a habit of mind in which we have trust, or confidence in the person of Jesus Christ, in the seed that God has given to us. So as we worship and thank God, we are now building up the muscle of trust so that we will step into the first phase called belief. Belief sounds like this. Belief is one of the lower levels, but it's a necessary level. It's a foundational level. It is, we will think of what God has said to us and said, I really wish that this would happen. I would like for this to happen, but it's a basic desire, not a lot of strength put to it, but it is one in which we can hold on to. Now, belief will then get stronger and stronger, in which we now will put a demand on it and say, I decree this is what I am to do. I decree this is what I will do. Now through our will, we have put a demand on that vision. We have now allowed the atmosphere to be charged up and shaken up. And that atmosphere will obey us if we believe, if we have the habit of mind. Now let's look at the word habit. Habit is an acquired mode of behavior in which it has become involuntary, addictive, compulsory way of acting, and it's fixed through repetition, through repeatedly thinking and decreeing and acting on what God has given it to us. It will become a solidified habit in our life. It will become a part of our character. So now let's start all over again. God will download into us a dream, a vision, or an idea, which is a seed from God, called a hope. And when we see that, we will say, oh, I got it. God has given it to me. That hope will be a wish or desire, a basic foundational level, but that hope needs to grow into a belief in which we place a demand on it. How does hope move from belief? It's based on a decision that we make, a decision to believe. How do we build up our level to believe? It's based on the level of trust that we have in God, who is the source of our hope. How do we build up that hope? It's through touchstone, praise, and worship, remembering God's goodness, remembering it over and over and over repetitiously. Now, let's look at where that idea of touchstone came from. Let's look in the Old Testament. When the children were moving from the promise, out of slavery, out of bondage, and they were to go into the promised land, one group of people were to move over the Jordan. And the Jordan is a large body of water that God told these group of people to pass through. Well, what God did, he opened up the Jordan, and he allowed the people to walk through on the other side. But before he closed the waters back up, he decreed that the elders were to go back in the center of the Jordan and to pick up the smooth, round stones and to bring those stones and to place them on the bank on the other side. And once they placed him on the bank of the other side, the waters closed back up. And he decreed and told those elders to allow those smooth, round stones to be used as an altar of remembrance. It would be absolute 100% proof that these people went through this body of water, and now they have evidence of the large round stones. And the stones they were round because of the water. The water had gone over them and allowed them to become smooth. Now on the bank of the Jordan, the people would come back to this place. The stones, they would touch the stones, and it would be a place of remembering, reconnecting, rejoining, rethinking of what God had done for them in the past. And if they could see and remember God allowed this huge river to open up. God allowed us to walk through. God allowed us to get on the other side to this promised area. God allowed the waters to close up. God allowed these stones, these physical stones, to be here so that we can touch them, that we could tell our children and our grandchildren that this really happened. How? Go look at the stones. We have proof that it happened. It was touchstones, a method of remembering God's goodness. Well, in our lives, we may not necessarily walk through a physical river that opens up and pick up physical stones and put them on the banks of the river, but we do have areas in our lives where God opened up doors for us, where we walk through miraculous situations that no man could provide for us, only God. And through those methods of walking through those doors, God provided in our memory stones of being able to touch and go back to those visions and dreams in those times when God helped us. And we can thank him and praise him and worship him over and over as we go through the process of touchstone, praise, and worship. Now let's start all over again, because we won't finish this in this session. God will initially download into us a what? A hope. That's his seed. That's an idea. That's a vision and a dream. Now, the purpose of that idea is for it to manifest into a physical thing. Why? Because that idea is an answer to someone's prayer. God has sent us into this earth with answers inside of us. But the answers are not to stay inside of us. They are to come out of us, manifest as a material thing. So that hope will download it to us. We will see it and say, God has given to us a dream, a vision. We get excited. Now, that initial excitement does not have a whole lot of power in it. That hope does not have a whole lot of power in it. It's the foundation. It's one of the weakest forms, but it's a starting base. And it's an idea. It's a wish. It's like, I want to do this. Now, it must develop into something much stronger, much more solid, much more powerful that can affect and charge up the atmosphere. And that's when it moves into the next phase called belief. Belief says, I will. Now our will has enveloped that thing. Our will has decreed. Our will has taken hold of that. Now, how does our will do that? It's through the process of trusting the source of those words. How do we develop the trust? The trust is developed through touchstone, and we just explained what that was and where it came from. It's going back to the source of those words, reconnecting, rejoining, reviewing, looking at what God has done for us, looking at it clearly, meditating, focus on it, remembering all the situations that had come up against us and how God opened the doors, opened the Jordan, so to speak, and we were able to walk through into the promise and receive the blessings of God. So now we're building up our trust to do what? What's the first level? It goes from hope to belief. So we place a demand on that. I will birth this dream. I will allow this to happen. I will do it. Now that will stay solidified in us through the process of a habit. Let's go back and look at the definition of a habit. A habit is an acquired mode of behavior. Acquired means it doesn't come with the territory. It means that we have to learn how to habitually will what God has given to us. So it's acquired through a process of time. We go repetitiously to think on what God has given to us, and it becomes now an acquired way of thinking. That acquired mode of behavior now becomes involuntary. It's a part of our character. It now becomes an addiction. It now becomes a way of us moving into our purpose because it is fixed through repetition. And now for this period of time, we're going to stop right here at belief, and I'm going to share in the next class how we move from belief to the manifested material thing. Because if all we do is hope, if all we do is believe, we will not affect this world in the method and the way that we should. We need to take that hope, belief, and move it forth to the fullness of God's glory, which is the manifested thing. Thank you so much for being with us today and hearing the initial training of the principle, Hope to a Thing. We look forward to seeing you again. God bless you. Bye-bye.